Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collected podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, and welcome to TFYLP, episode 351, recorded on Sunday, October 20th. Today with me, I've got Paul.
Good morning.
Peter.
Forever Destron.
And Jim.
We couldn't find Mark or Luke. Sorry.
So, I like how Paul over here has like the professional setup, like this like nice mic with the filter and everything. The rest of us are,
I'm not trying to show it off. This is actually really janky setup, I promise you. It seems like I can't type.
I can always switch back to my old microphone. I mean, I've still got it.
Yeah, I was actually planning on bringing a mic with me for my computer for TFCon, but it's like a $20 USB mic, so it sounds okay. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't sound as nice as that, but I guess I'll get the job done.
Well, believe it or not, this picks up a lot of ambient noise. So if you're in a big room, it actually sounds awful. So that's why my setting is a little different. Because when I use this, it sounds a lot better in here. So it's still not perfect by any means.
So what you need to do is redo that into your studio and just put soundproofing along all the walls and, get that zero emissions,
Yeah, so someday when I become a voice jockey or something, I'll ask John Bailey how the pros do it and spend up thousands of dollars on a room.
I think
today.
I think Bailey actually has I think he just records in like a small. And I think a lot of those guys just like have a very small, kind of almost like a closet that they record in.
Yeah, it's like a closet with all the, sound deadening stuff in the room is what it looks like with the mic and everything suspended.
You always check with Daniel Ross, see what he does.
The thing I thought was interesting, talking to John when he was at TF Expo is that he actually had, for the road, he had an iPad, and he had like a setup where he plugged into his iPad so that he could kind of do voice work or I guess from his iPhone or whatever, but that he had this like mic setup that plugged into that, and then he could just do it from the room. And I think he did a couple like auditions or whatever, while he was at the show from his room, and he said it turns out pretty well.
Yeah, I've seen him do that before, and he has like this little cardboard thing that he puts over top of the mic that kind of like mimics the sound quality of being in a booth. And it's actually pretty cool. It's like a little cardboard thing with the soundproofing inside, and just puts it right around the mic, and he's off to the races. Pretty ingenious.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's crazy that's just changed over the last several years is just that the fact that you have close to pro level equipment that you can have just using your phone. Like literally, I think the new iPhone can do 4K video at 60 frames per second and do slow-mo and everything. And you're just like, this is nuts. Like literally, as long as you had something to be able to stabilize the iPhone, you can pull off some shots. And I've actually seen some guys where they've made kind of like mini movies just testing out that feature, and it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's why I kind of got out of that whole world from my early 20s, because the quality of stuff now is so much better with far less expensive equipment. I could never keep up. It's always going to be. But yeah, you can make some amazing stuff now with minimal equipment. It's incredible, especially if you're going to conventions.
Right. So the actual topic of the show, before we like to somehow spend the first 5 minutes going off topic, is we're actually talking about we're getting ready to go TFCon. So TFCon DC is a week away, or less than a week away, I guess at this point. So the show is going to be starting on Friday in Reston, Virginia, which is just outside of DC. And so several of us are going to the show. So we figured we would, spend the time kind of talking about our prep for the show, what to expect at the convention, and then also just kind of in general, like our experiences with conventions. So, and Paul actually has been a vendor, and I've also helped out with vendors as well at conventions. So, kind of just talk about a little bit about that experience as well. So yeah, so I guess starting off, who is going to TFCon, here in a few days? So
I'd like to go. I might. I'm just gonna see if I can make it work. It's just a long way for me, so and it'd be by myself. So like, I guess maybe we should start with maybe the prep required to go to a show like this. If you want to go, like, for me, I have to decide if it's worth the time and the effort, and then all the costs involved. And also, I'm driving by myself. I wasn't able to find a buddy to go on that road trip, which makes it very helpful. Like Rob is going with a friend of ours named Black Arachnia that they don't get to see each other very often, but they get to hang out for 7 or 8 hours on the way to the convention, which is very helpful. It just keeps your mind from going crazy.
I would have a really hard time driving that far by myself. So, yeah, you should just talk Serge into going to the show with you, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm actually, I think 16 hours away, but I'm going with a couple of people myself. So, I'm going with Anna from the cast as well, and then also I have another friend who's going to be a vendor at the show, and so we're he's packing up what he can in his car and driving the 16 hours, and then we're going to be splitting a hotel room with like 4 people, bringing my air mattress and all that. So I think that's the one thing, like on a lot of these road trips. And I guess I'm assuming as you get older, like some people actually start just having rooms by themselves, but I know for me it's like I'm just gonna pack as many people in as as many roommates to kind of try and get that cost down.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing. It's cost versus comfort, and I'm kind of more in the comfort realm these days. But if I'm going to actually make this trip happen this weekend, I'm going to go as cheap as possible. I'm going to pile in someone's room that allows me to, and pay what they need, and try to do it on the cheap, which I think is what the general consensus of people going to these conventions are thinking, because they want to spend their money, if they have it, in the dealer room.
I'm driving about 13 hours. I don't know. I'm driving by myself. I have no budget. I'm crashing on someone's floor. I don't care about comfort, cost. I can go either way. I mean, I say I have no budget, but I'll be okay. Yeah, just guerrilla style, jumping in and doing whatever to make it work.
You learn. No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, Peter, that's great. I mean, you're in like the optimal position there. You're kind of, you've been to these enough times. You know what to expect. I think your expectations are just to go with the flow and have fun.
That's always the plan. Just show up, see who I'm gonna see, buy what I'm gonna buy, do what I can, and then roll out.
Yeah, you roll out. Yeah, you're an experienced con goer for sure. Like a lot of people at this point, without BotCon, I just wonder how many newcomers there are, because it's definitely a different experience when you go for the first time or the second time even. I mean, it took me a good 5 or 6 BotCons in a row before I like started to get friends, you know, that I didn't know before. Stuff. That changed the whole, you know, that's just something you can't, I mean, some people might fall into it right away, but that's really the reason to go, is to see everybody you haven't seen that you know, or even meet people you don't know. So it's really about the people. The toys are cool too, but it's
more and more over the years, it's become more about the people and seeing my friends, and especially with the death of BotCon, there's not that one central gathering place anymore. TFCon has this kind of splintered geographically, so that makes it a little bit harder. But it's still great to see everyone when we are able to get together. And DC seems to be a really good location for that, because it's not too far for pretty much everyone in the eastern half of the country. Toronto tends to be a little bit prohibitive. California is prohibitive for the same reason that DC is prohibitive. Chicago is also a nice centrally located position. So I'm glad that as many people that we know are indeed going to this show.
You know, Indianapolis would be. I would say Indianapolis would be a pretty excellent location for something like that.
Well, I mean, there were several BotCons in like Fort Wayne, and those always were, bang up shows. So nice centralized spot.
Yeah, Fort Wayne's a little bit out of the way, but overall, Indiana is, you know, pretty central location as far as north, south, east, and west. But Indy is built. It's called the Circle City. It's built with all the different interstates intersecting in kind of a circular hub. So it's maybe 20 minutes to get to practically anywhere in town, the entire city. But no, as far as like driving, there are lots of things that you know, I'm sure most of us have learned to do by now. You know, certain things to pack, certain things to do, not to do. But there's still those newer con goers that haven't quite got the hang of things yet. You know, rule number 1: bathe. Bathing.
Well, I will not disagree. It's gotten better over the years, but early days, late 90s BotCons and stuff like that, it was rough.
Antiperspirant deodorant, it only goes so far, but bathing is paramount. Because the toys will be there, but if you don't bathe, the friends won't necessarily always be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough in general. When you get that many people in a room, you know, it can be, you know, rough. And especially for the, you know, a lot of these shows go, you know, the show opens up pretty early and then people are going late as well. So I think sometimes people kind of forget about some of that stuff. But
yeah. Well, especially if you're driving, like, what was it you were saying, like 12 hours, 16 hours, however far. Not everybody has AC functional in their car. I mean, it's pretty well a necessity.
Yeah. But
also, I would emphasize there are some supplies you should probably bring along, separate from, like, you know, your duffel bags and stuff to carry your swag and all that. I highly recommend, aside from the, you know, standard toiletries, first aid kit. Get yourself a small travel first aid kit, because stuff happens. You might need Benadryl, you might need aspirin, Band-Aids, what have you. You know, a lot of people tend to overlook something like that, but it's pretty easy to be in a situation where, you know, like you're transforming something or digging through a parts bin and, you know, nick your finger. I mean, it happens. You know, you don't want to be bleeding all over everybody.
I was just thinking, or whatever, it's like having to get a tetanus shot or something.
Yeah. but really though, or if you got a headache or something, you're not feeling good.
Yeah.
Those things can be vital to really enjoying your convention that you're going to.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too that like anything from the hotel is going to be extremely expensive. So if you have to go to the hotel gift shop to get, Tylenol or something, I mean, it's going to cost you like $5 for like 2 Tylenol or something. So it's like, make sure that if you don't bring that kind of stuff with you, to know where the closest Walgreens or CVS or whatever is, so that you can, duck out and don't have to spend that much. But the same thing with food too is,
right.
I would definitely, bring, they usually have like a water station there at the show. But
drinking fountain.
Yeah. So, but yeah, or make sure like, those refillable water bottles are always good. But it's like, if you're going to bring, like, I usually bring like a backpack. A lot of the vendors, some of them, or TFCon themselves, like, will give out a bag, like with the attendee badge or whatever that you get, the pass.
Badge and schedule and some coupons or whatever.
Yeah, so they usually give a bag out, but I always think it's good to bring a backpack with like just some stuff, and you can put extra things in there too. But then that way you can bring some like Cliff Bars or something like that, or just something to kind of tide yourself over. Because I would try to figure out too. It's like, if you are going to get lunch, like, I always think the best thing to do is to eat a big breakfast like before going to the show. And then that way you don't actually even have to really have lunch. You can just kind of go all day. Or if you want to take the time. But I don't know. I feel like I'm always running around at conventions and trying to see so many of the different, panels and whatnot, that I never want to actually eat lunch.
Now I'll tell you, Walmart tends to have, different like travel size supplies, shampoos, first aid kits and things. And they also have, decent snack section. But something else I want to mention, these are starting to pop up like everywhere, even in small towns. Dollar Trees. Dollar Tree is your friend. They have all kinds of goodies, and if you're on a budget, it's like $1 for this, $1 for that, nothing over $1. So I would say most large cities that are capable of holding conventions, I'm almost going to guarantee they have a Dollar Tree somewhere in that town.
Or some other dollar type store, yeah.
Right. But Dollar Tree specifically, everything is literally no more than $1 per item. That's the max they charge. But yeah, I mean, Family Dollar, Dollar General, Big Lots, those are good too. But like you go to Dollar Tree, you can get a thing of hard candy, a thing of gummy bears, cheese puffs, whatever, and it's $1. Granola bars. So I mean, there's lots of good ideas. Just make sure you're not cramming a bunch in your backpack so you don't have room for the toys.
Right, exactly. I always feel like I kind of use these like road trips and conventions as an excuse to, not eat as well as I should. It's like eating, like you said, some candy, or, getting some Doritos or whatever kind of thing too. So
some Red Bulls will be had on this trip.
Yeah, case of Red Bull might be pretty good. So
it's good to stay hydrated. Like, grab a few Gatorades or something, before you get to the show. Like, if you are driving, just stop at a Walmart along the way. There's probably going to be 800, so you can stop at one to look, see if the new Siege Deluxes are in, and then grab some cheap drinks to keep yourself hydrated during the event. Because most likely, if you like to stay up late, you're gonna be a little dehydrated the next day. So anything to help is good.
So one of my favorite giveaways, kind of circling back to that, the comment about showering and deodorant and all that kind of thing, is a couple years ago, when they had the TFCon in Reston before, the TKO podcast actually gave out branded deodorant to everybody that was in line for the show, and I just thought that was absolutely amazing that they did that. So I'll be looking forward to see what they give out this time. I think last year they gave out salt to everyone, just because everybody, Transformers fans are so salty, and you could probably say that this year too, just because we're coming off all the Unicron stuff. But
nice.
So
something else I thought of too for road trippers. There are those who drive their own personal vehicles, and there's also those who would like to rent vehicles. So if you rent a car, make sure before you return it that you clean it out and all that, or they will charge you like cleaning fees and stuff. So that's something to also be mindful of. So like if you have any snacks on the road or anything like that, just make sure you get all your wrappers. Don't drop ketchup. None of that. But if you drive your own personal vehicle, vehicle maintenance, make sure your tires are in good order, properly inflated, because that will also help on mileage. Oil change, the fluids are topped off, just all that before you ever go on a long distance trip like that. Because if you break down, you might not be in a position where you can easily get assistance. So, car maintenance.
yeah, honestly, signing up for AAA is probably worth it just for those types of trips, just because
Sure.
it's like just to have, if your car breaks down, to be able to get towed or whatever, and not have to worry about like who the local tow guy is going to be, that you can just call them up and
Right.
deal with that, and they'll help you with the flat tire and stuff like that too. That's
Yeah.
what I usually do myself.
I agree. AAA is a wonderful backup plan, but definitely do what you can as far as preventative measures as
Absolutely.
well. But
Absolutely.
AAA definitely is a backup if you can, or a similar service. But AAA is the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
I was gonna say also, make sure and bring a good battery pack for your phone. Like if you're using your phone to check, into stuff, and check the schedule, communicate with friends, all that type of thing. Like, I mean, you're gonna be going a long day. Just make sure, because there's not a lot of outlets, and you don't really want to have to be the guy that's like sitting there huddled by an outlet. Like I usually see a few people at the show just trying to get like an extra 5% out of their battery so that they can actually like, get a hold of their friends.
You could bring a power strip.
Well, yeah, you
you would
can,
make
but
a
the
lot of
battery just
friends.
is like, you're more mobile that way. Like I usually bring like a pretty decent sized battery pack so that I know that I'm gonna be topped off.
Is
But yeah,
is those European conventions, are they going on the same weekend? Like, will people be checking the news on that stuff, or is that like a different weekend?
London Comic Con is
I'm
the
not.
same
I'm not
weekend, and
sure.
I think Paris is. I think Paris and London
Is it?
both are this weekend, next upcoming weekend.
Okay,
Oh.
so everyone's gonna be wanting to
So-
check that stuff because all the new reveals will be going on from
Yes,
Hasbro.
So we might be seeing studio series and stuff then. Nice.
Studio series, bots, yeah.
Well, we already have all the
And
leaks from
Watermelon Sphinx at the show.
I'm sorry, what?
The unreleased Generation 2 pre-production sample of Generation 1 mold Mirage is being
yeah.
released by MMC using their Ocular Max Sphinx
That's right.
mold
That's right.
at the show.
I heard there was a lot of people that were kind of confused by that color scheme, not realizing that it was based on.
Yeah, if they're confused, they haven't been paying attention for the last 25 years.
Right. Spoilers.
Peter, I'm not sure how many people in the fandom have been like keeping up with unreleased production samples from G2. Just saying. I mean, right. I know that a lot of us probably do. Like, I was aware of it just because I like to collect G2, but there's probably a lot of random people that are like, "What is that?"
It's
So-
so neon and so ugly. I can't believe it.
All they have
Just
to
another
do
chance
in
for
order
those
to
old
keep up,
crusty dudes to judge everybody. It's great.
all they have to do to keep up with all the unreleased G2 stuff is just follow Plasticon.
Yeah,
That's all they got to do.
that is true. He actually created a G2 group.
He did.
On Facebook too. So yeah, if anyone's interested in G2 stuff, I would definitely join that group. But yeah, no, I think it's
Transformers are from G2. It's crazy.
I was gonna say I love how all these third parties are giving us these like unreleased G2 figures or released. Like they're giving us all these masterpiece version. So there's like G2 Grimlock, I think is one that Fans Toys did, and then it has not been officially announced, but it sounds like Planet X is actually going to be doing a G2 version of their Grimlock.
Vulcan.
Thank you. So,
Yeah. If we can get more of the Gen 2 Deco Dinobots, if we can get like some of the unreleased Dinobots, if we can get the Sandstorm style Seeker, if we can get the Black Death Starscream Seeker, give me the Gen 2 stuff. Released, unreleased, I don't care. Give it to me. Or sell it to me. Or give it to me. I mean, I'm down. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of those.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like Make Toys has been doing a lot themselves. I mean, they did the TFCon LA, their Meteor figure. They did a G2 deco for him, and then I think that they've shown like on the back of his box. I think it was his box, or maybe it was the Jazz. They did G2 Jazz as well. And then they had kind of like some other decos, from potentially unreleased G2 figures as well. So, hopefully they keep going with that. And then also, I think X Transbots, they've been doing it, the G2 Minosaur. And so they're going to be, I think that they still, how many limbs do they have left to release in
There's
G2?
one
I think
limb
it's just
left.
one.
Yeah, and then the Motormaster.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And then Fans Project is like, I know A3U, ages 3 and up, has been like working with Fans Project to actually release their version of Minosaur as well. I can't remember how many of those have been released. I think do we have one more left of that too?
I know they've all been shown. I think they might all be released. I don't know.
I know that they haven't done the main one yet. But
I thought that they had a photo on their website of all 4 of them for a while. So I'm pretty sure that you could get them, but the Minosaur was never done, or the Motormaster was never available.
Yeah.
I'm not a third-party expert. I don't know.
I don't know, Paul. It sounds like you with this, were you thinking about picking up some of these exclusives though?
I might get the Grimlock, the G2 Grimlock, because I do collect Grimlock toys, and I love that mold. It's one of the few like really exquisite third-party toys that I just can't deny is amazing. It's a good one.
Yeah. No, they did such an amazing job on that particular figure. So I think that might be my favorite third-party Grimlock.
Yeah, definitely for me. I don't have any of the other third-party Grimlocks. That one's just unique because it's such an improvement over the Voyager. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know. I've never, I haven't, the new Gigasaur came out, and that I haven't actually messed with that one because it's pretty new. But I know all the Gigasaurs are pretty good. So, and Fans Toys, of course. I mean, Fans Toys are like the classic. Like they've come out, they've been out for years now. So it's almost kind of like they're the standard. But
hey, sorry to do this, but I'm gonna have to dip out for just a brief moment. I have to go perform a mini-con oil change, as it were, on a 10-month-old. So, BRB.
Okay.
I'm sure there's probably going to be another exclusive or two revealed, wouldn't you think? Like at the show.
This isn't it. Just the Blue Vulcan and the Sphinx. That's not going to be all. There's going to be at least one more. Well, I mean, and the Gen 2 Dead End or whoever it is by X Transbots. So I'm pretty sure we'll have at least one more beyond that.
I'm kind of surprised that I don't know. I feel like a lot of these exclusives that they released them earlier than what they have, and I don't know if it's something to where that they're holding them back just because of the way the stock has gone. Because I know it was it last year's TFCon, I think it was, where they actually had a holdup on the
RC?
The RC, and
Yeah,
it was
with the
one of those
pumpkin
things where they literally got it delivered to the show by like FedEx or something like that, and so they were able to start selling it like Saturday at like noon, but it
Yeah.
was completely unannounced. And the reason is just because they weren't able to get it in earlier. So I don't know if maybe that's part of the reason is they just want to make sure that yes, these items are in DC, like, and are going to be able to make it to the show, because obviously they don't want to announce something and then have it not be there.
Like the Unicron statue at BotCon 2002, I want to say, where they said it's gonna be here and we'll have 1 billion of them for everybody, and then just there were like 10, and people walked away. And some of the ones that showed up were broken. It's good stuff. Yeah, you don't want to oversell and then disappoint. You'd rather like, oh, surprise, So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's
under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, you're the businessman.
That's the mantra.
You explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those things that people don't realize with conventions, is that a lot of this stuff is getting made for the show, and it's like right before the show that it's hitting. And so, like all this stuff is coming over from China. So if for some reason that there's some type of issue with the shipment, and you can get that kind of stuff in, we've had issues like with TF Expo where that, you have like a lot of the stuff we do is we do custom stuff on top of, just regular Hasbro items for our exclusives or for our custom class stuff. Well, if your 3D printed parts, or your molded parts or whatever don't come out right, then what are you going to do? And so all these people are clamoring. They're like, why haven't you announced these exclusives? Why haven't you done it? And it's like, no, like we have to make sure that the stuff is, it's good to go, that it's, everything is in good order, that we have is, the stock that we're supposed to have, all that type of thing. So.
Yeah, you're going to have howling fans either way, whether, you haven't announced anything beforehand or you screwed up something in the, something got messed up or missed at the show itself. People are going to scream on one end or another. But you brought up a fun point, the custom class. Do you guys have any interest in the, was it Voodoo Robots Potion green redeco of that Ratchet figure? It's a great mold.
Looks cool, but not for me.
So where did they come up with the stock from this? Like, have they been sitting on that stock now for? Is this that Voodoo Robots figure?
They died 2 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like 3 years old. The Ironhide was supposed to come out, never came out. The company said that we're done about 2 years ago, I believe, 18 months to 2 years ago. So yeah, somewhere they had probably just cases of these things.
Right. No, well, the thing that stinks though is that the custom class is sold out, and so I was kind of debating about it, and since I'm 16 hours away, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it in time, so we didn't actually sign up for the class, and so now I kind of wish that I had, because it custom class are always a lot of fun. It's a way to, kind of do it like as an experience for the convention for people that don't normally do it, and to actually have assistance from other people as well. So if you're like me and it's like I don't do that much customizing, it was really cool to like I got to sat next to Lance and he does customizing, and so he was able to kind of tell me, oh, you should do when you're painting it you should do this or that or whatever. So. Are you doing the class, Peter?
Nope.
So have you done the TFCon class before, Lucas?
Not the TFCon class, no. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yes, I did the TFCon class a couple years ago. The Bob figure, the Insecticon Bob. Yeah, that was an amazing figure to be able to do. So I'm really happy I did that. So this one I was kind of on the fence about. Like, so I'm not hating that I missed out, but yeah, no, it's a lot of fun what they do. So the way they structured it when I did it is they have this like large room that they do it in, and they say for the people that are beginners, like sit up in the towards the front, so that way we can give you more attention. They give you like a packet with slides, and then they have slides up front to kind of tell you how to disassemble the figure for painting. And then just kind of going through all the different steps. So it's like you disassemble it, you have your whole little section on your table where you have all the stuff kind of sitting out there, and then it goes through the steps to say, okay, paint this first, allow that to dry for, an hour or whatever, and then, kind of do different stuff, like while that's drying, paint this other stuff and whatever. And so they do a pretty good job of breaking it down for someone who has, is not really experienced with that kind of stuff. Like I felt like it worked out really well.
Cool. I just wondered how different it is from the BotCon customizing classes, because it sounds like you have to actually disassemble the toy, which is a whole step you didn't have to do with the BotCon one. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I've never done it. I should try it just to see how different it is.
With the BotCon sets, wasn't everything still on the sprue?
Yeah. Is that Jim? Are you a ghost?
Jim, you're a ghost.
I'm back, by the way.
Oh, there we go. Come back.
Just sat down.
Video.
I don't think your video's on yet.
Lowered expectations.
Let me try again.
There we go. You're
there
back.
You are. Welcome back.
Yeah. I turned it on, and it just wasn't working, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm here. But no, with the BotCon sets, wasn't all the pieces still on the sprue from?
Yeah, they were in a packet. Everything was on the sprue. You had to clip it yourself, assemble it yourself. You had a little thing of pins and screws and a little hammer. So
did all that stuff come with the kit that you were buying for BotCon, or okay? So and that's the same way.
The hammer
and don't you dare smuggle it out of the room.
TFCon, they give you all the supplies as well. So they have like screwdrivers and, I don't know that they had they have pretty much all the tools. So all the brushes and the paints and stuff, they say that you can take that with you. It's really, I think, just like the screwdrivers and stuff that they just have extras of that. But yeah, no, I would definitely recommend the class, Paul. Like if you have the time to be able to do it. I think the tough thing is like a vendor, depending on how big your booth is, you might need most of Friday to be able to set up. And so the custom class usually runs from if I remember correctly, I think it's 8 a.m. to 2 o'clock. So, I mean, you still probably have time, just kind of depends on your booth setup. So.
Makes sense.
But yeah, no, that's one thing that I think is interesting about TFCon in general. The way that they do it is that the vendor room's actually not open till Saturday. So a lot of people come in Friday, and if you're coming in Friday, don't expect a lot going on. I would definitely I think that they do have some programming that starts at, I can't remember if I look at the schedule, 5 o'clock or so. So they have a usually an opening panel, and they have a podcasters thing that some podcasters do, and they in the past they've shown the Transformers movie. I think that I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that again because they got nailed by Hasbro. What was it in TFCon LA? Hasbro said they can't publicly show the movie. And the reason is kind of going back on that kind of stuff is that if you are showing a movie, you have to get rights from the rights holder to be able to screen the movie, and you have to pay royalties for public viewing of a movie. So you can so say if it's not TFCon, say if the hotel is doing it and it is completely free to anyone who comes by, right? Then that's okay. That's allowable, right? But if you're tying it to your convention and saying that attendees who are paying for the show,
right, you're charging admission to have this as part of your convention, then yeah, it's a no-no.
Yeah. So
what if it's a version of the film that's no longer commercially available? Like if you were to haul in an old VCR and put in the old FHE cassette.
It doesn't matter.
Or Betamax.
It doesn't matter. They still have rights to the thing, even though, it's not commercially available. So, again, one thing that we've done with TF Expo in the past is we actually rented out a movie theater or partner with a movie theater and had them take care of all that stuff. So that was one thing that we did a couple years ago. And then we've also done things again, like if you have the hotel show it and it's something that everyone is open to everyone, then you can do it. So it may be something that they may bring back in the future, but I know I'm not sure I haven't looked at the schedule for Friday night to see what else they have going on, but
which brings up a good point, because even if there is stuff on the schedule, it's not going to be running late or anything, maybe max 7 p.m. So then we can roll right into the discussion on parts parties, room parties, meeting up with your friends, and yeah, run with that.
So that's a big part of TFCon in general is these parts parties. And so essentially a lot of the dealers or various people will post down, like they'll have an announcement board out by the show of different rooms that people will have. And so you can go up and they will have either stuff for sale, loose or boxed, or they may have like different parts for various figures, mainly with G1, and then other lines as well, to where you could maybe buy, sell, trade, within the room. So I'd say that's most of the things that are going on at night is usually those parts parties.
And sometimes the celebs, the celebrity guests from the show will find their way up to those parts parties, and you get to hang out and have a nice personal conversation where you don't have to wait in line and hang out. You'll meet up with vendors who might be selling things that they don't necessarily have downstairs, which is always interesting. They've got the oddball weirdo stuff that you got to go up to the party to see it. And then just general interaction with everybody is always a great time. There are people in various stages of inebriation, which is amusing to see. And people just cut loose and they're enjoying themselves for the most part, and it's a lot of fun.
But yeah, no, I think that a lot of the experience is actually being at the hotel, yourself. So I always try to get a room, but I mean, you can stay as late as you want. There's other hotels around the area, but I think it's always good because again, those, the parts parties, can run somewhat late, just depending on stuff. But we actually I was thinking TFCon in Chicago last year, the hotel actually tried to break up all the parts parties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they looked at the board to see where all the parties were, and then they sent the security detail from room to room, like, you're done, you're done, you're done, and shutting everyone down.
Why?
So people just had to get quiet and go somewhere else. And I don't know, they just didn't feel like...
So what happened was I think that I don't know if there was another convention or some other get-together that had happened at that hotel, like earlier in the year before, where it just got way out of hand, and I think it was in the news or something that there was issues, and so I think that their security was a little bit, more, on point. But it was weird because for the most part, I think like the Roma collectors had a pretty big party going, but for the most part, like a lot of these parts parties are anywhere from like 5 to 10 dudes in a room, so it's like the hotels like sitting there, like they came into our room, like Aaron usually has a parts party kind of thing going on, and there was like 3 of us sitting in the room, and they're like, oh, we need to break this party up. We're like, what are you talking about? It's like we're all just hanging out. So
this is our room.
But like the Roma collectors, bringing them up, they had like doormen, and you had to be on the list, and they had like 40 people crammed in room. It was busy.
Yeah, usually like the Roma collectors and I think Agabus both usually have something going on. Like I think Roma collectors usually Friday night, and then Agabus is on Saturday night. So yeah, I mean obviously they can get out of hand rather quickly. So that's the reason why they have to, kind of limit it. So they try to limit it to the guys in the group, or, the people that they usually do like some promotional stuff. They do like a rock box is what they call it. So usually they try to get all those people in, and then, it's just there's not enough room really to have some kind of crazy party. So
I do not understand that whole Facebook group party thing. That is, I tried to go into one of those the last time, and I was like, this is whack. They wouldn't let me in.
Yeah.
I knew I didn't have the shirt. I wasn't on the list. I'm not a cool kid, so I didn't even try. I was like, oh, they're checking people. I guess I'm going to this one over here.
Yeah, I
Rather
mean,
be a little
I've
more
went
under
to
the
it.
radar.
I've went to it the last couple years, but I mean, honestly, my scene is I kind of just enjoy doing the smaller, gatherings, and a lot of times, just like at the hotel bar too. And you were mentioning about the voice actors that a lot of times they'll be hanging out there at the bar, and you can kind of get into conversations, with those guys. So.
Yep. Christian Russell and I had we were sitting eating pizza at the bar, and Alec Willows was like right there. So
Right.
say hi. David Sobolov went to some of the parts parties, and he'll just talk. He's a nice guy,
Yeah.
and you just shoot the breeze with these guys who are celebrities in the fandom, and it's and just in TF media in general, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. No, and I mean these guys just, I think a lot of talking to the voice actors, like they really enjoy being able to meet the fans and kind of see the impact that they made and whatever, and they just enjoy, like they're there to have fun too. So yeah, so they actually enjoy, kind of coming up and having everyone talk to them and whatnot.
We got their Jim Gerwalk hooligan.
Yes.
So,
The Cyberjets need more love. I would not
They do.
at all object to some Cyberjet, like Redeco. I don't know, the Jetfire from Cyberverse, the little deluxe guy.
I'll tell you, if the Combiner Wars Deluxes weren't so prohibitively expensive on the secondary market, I'm actually wanting to do a bunch of repaints. Do like the RID spy changers and some of the Cyberjets and things. I think those would be perfect for those characters to update.
Keep your eyes on the Facebook groups, or go to the show and dig through the dollar bins, because there are always these bins under the tables at these shows where it's like the $5, $3, $1 bin, whatever, and you can wheel and deal and get all sorts of goodies. And send lists with your friends. That's another good tip, is if you're not going to the show, but you know a guy or some guys or gals who are going to the show, hey, I'm not going to be there, but if you can pick up that Mirage for me, if you can pick up, in fact, we have, Rick Alvarez is asking about things that, what can you pick up for me at the show, So
yeah, I actually picked up exclusives for both him and Don at the show, and when I went out to LA. So, but yeah, I think it's a lot of fun too, just going to the conventions and seeing what random stuff people have at the tables or like in the bins, and being able to pick up that you've been looking for. Like I just have like a random list, and so I'll sit there and ask like, make yeah, there we go. I did the same thing with Peter. Because Peter was nice enough to pick up exclusive from TFCon in Toronto. But yeah, no, I always will pick up, Brett Megamus. I'll go through and go up to him and say, all right, here's my list. Like, do you have this, and this? And so, I've been able to, work out some deals with him. And, just some random stuff that you can see at conventions where you're just like, where did this even come from? Like, I know, I don't know if Transformer Land is going to be at the show this year or not, but, just the stuff that they had last year. I think it was last year.
yeah, it was last year. That's where
yeah.
Rob picked up his Grandis for $1,200.
Yeah.
White. Stickers were applied, but beautiful box, beautiful figure, great price. And that wasn't the only stuff that he had there. He had sealed sets of the Gen 2 pre-production samples of the Stunticons, some of the Protectobots from Gen 2. He had like a knockoff mock-up of the 1986 Unicron figure. He had the Micromaster Combiner six-member teams, the 6-wing and 6-turbo and 6-build, all those guys.
I wonder where the Unicron had been knocked off.
No, it's not a knock. It's a custom build that somebody made. It's a knockoff of the pre-production. Yeah, it's made of foam, but it looks. I mean, it's that same funny shape. It's a wonderful piece.
It looked real.
It looked real, and people were asking
questions. I would actually love to own a repro or knockoff of that.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah. he
I
had
guess
Guard
it's,
City, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, like, I know it's probably not as crazy as what some of the botcons were. I hear that botcon just had some crazy like Japanese and whatever rare stuff, but you can still find like a few of those vendors are still going to TFCon, and you see that where like Artfire, I think he'd come in the past. I don't know if he'll be this year, but some other other Japanese vendors where they've brought stuff over, just like stuff that's like totally rare here, like those little model kits. What are those called, Peter?
Goodbye.
Yes. Like getting those kind of gum kits or whatever just out of nowhere. Like I think Duran had got one last year at the show, and so it's
Yeah,
I don't
Asusa was there, and he had some Headmaster's gum kits. Duran got the Weird Wolf, of course. I think he got a Mind Wipe too. I'm not sure 100%. But yeah, you have those vendors that have been there forever. The same dealer had a Black Shadow loose and a Blue Bacchus loose. They were missing pieces, but if you just want the figure itself, then Black Shadow and Blue Bacchus, hello. Yes, please. But yeah, you find all sorts of weird. You got to dig a little bit, and you're in competition with other people that are vying for the same stuff. This stuff is limited. It's not like it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where you could get, where you could find like 4 or 5 original twin casts, and this is before there were reissues. You could find 4 or 5 twin casts at a show, for $200.
Yeah, the last BotCon they had, it was there in Louisville, and I attended that one, and went by Azusa's booth, and I got a restaurant. Transforms.
Transform it. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. So you pull the sign out, of course. That's going to be the gun. I don't know how you can see it. It's a little sign. There are stickers, but I try not to apply stickers because.
Oh, okay. So this is a Gashapon thing. It's a capsule.
I think, I don't know. I couldn't read it, but it's the whole building, and so you just flip I guess that's the bricks on the sides. Those are the arms. Flip those up, and then the side walls fold down into the legs. Goes back down, and then put the sign in his hand, and there you go. Might as well be a GoBot. I know, right?
Give him a name.
I don't know, sushi. It looks like a joint I would walk into to get some excellent sushi. So, sure. I don't know. That's best I got.
So Peter, what is the rarest thing that you've gotten at a convention?
Rarest thing I've gotten at a convention? I don't know. Off the top of my head, probably Lander from Masterforce. I got him in the box with the card and all the stickers unapplied, blah blah blah. I didn't pay too much for him. I was really surprised because it was like midway through Saturday. This was in, if not DC last year, or Chicago maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was Chicago last year. It was midday Saturday, and it was just sitting there. I'm like, is no one going to point out the fact that there's a Lander over here? Just right there? Okay. So I got it. I got that, a couple of sealed train bots at the same table. But yeah, as far as like recent convention stuff, I was really, really broke when I was doing my late 90s, early 2000s conventions. And then there was a span in the middle where I seemed to be deployed or otherwise on some sort of like work trip in the later aughts or whatever. So I didn't get back into conventioning. I was still collecting the whole time, but I didn't get back into going to conventions until 2013 or so. And then, yeah. So, and then my budget was a lot better by then as opposed to when I was going at 17. Yeah.
So Paul, how about you? What's the rarest thing that you've gotten?
Well, I've been told I'm kind of cutting out, so that's why I'm not talking so much. So if I'm still doing that, stop me. But BotCon, the first BotCon I went to in Pasadena, which I think was Dark of the Moon year, I picked up 2 prototype Seeker jets from Tempting Toys, and I'd seen them before. Like I'd seen them like Tintin Happy, if you remember that name. It's like an eBay name. they're basically they're considered lunchtime specials. But he had these two like year 2001 Seekers, and one was all black but was like clear black, smoky black Starscream. And I think the other one was all silver, or it was all clear. I can't remember. I've come across a lot of these, but that was the most money I ever dropped at a convention, was for those two things.
Do you still have them?
Yes, they're downstairs.
Peter,
yes.
Okay, that is an Argentinian robot radio AM. It's a mashup of like Blaster and Megatron and Soundwave, and it's an officially licensed product from South America from 1985 or 6, I want to say. It came in 2 decos. It came in a blue and a red. You've got the red one there.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard to find. Really, really neat.
And Omega Supreme. I'm looking at the arms.
It actually says Transformers on the box, right?
Say again? Yeah, it says it's official. It's a real product.
Yeah, this was one of the ones where I picked this up at TF Expo a couple years ago, and like honestly, I didn't even know what it was. I just was like, oh, this looks kind of like Blaster. Like this looks really neat. So then I picked him up, and I can't even remember how much. Like I don't think I paid a lot for him. It was relatively cheap. So this is probably my pick. Either this or I got the orange KB exclusive G2 Devastator at the TFCon LA. But that was one I had specifically been looking for it at the right price. And so that one seems like it pops up every year. This one was like a weird one where I was just like, I will just get this because I have no idea what it is, but it looks cool. So.
Yeah, that one's fun. When I was a kid, that one has the same dial situation on the back as the Typhon robot radio, and I had the Typhon robot radio as a kid, and I reading the Marvel comics or whatever, and in my personal toy canon, since Blaster and Straxus were like enemies, and the Typhon radio has this really great big axe, that Typhon radio was my Straxus in my personal story. And he squared off nicely against Blaster, and they'd fight. And then I broke the axe. And then I got it at a convention. I found it. I replaced it at a convention years later. I got it from one of the Bickmores, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not even sure if this actually works or not. I have not. I guess I should try to put batteries in and see.
That's it.
There's more than one Bickmore?
Yeah, there's Mac and Alex. Alex is living in Chicago with you guys, and I mean they both ran the old Toy Archive website, and they both are toy collectors. They were both in Chicago last year. Yeah.
He was at the first Alex was at the first PFCon with you.
He was, yes, he was. And Alex was at my first ever convention, which was TransCon 2 in 1997 in Chicago. So I was 16 years old at that point. And I had, it was my first con. I had no idea what I was doing. I had like $55 in my pocket. I thought I was big baller. I got a Slug Slinger, a Wreck Gar, and some random Beast Wars stuff because I was, I got some Rock Bubble stuff. But yeah, he was there. And then I saw him again the next year at TransCon 3 in Toledo, which was the last TransCon by the Men in Black. And again, parts trading, just all sorts of random stuff. That was like a weird convention. It was like a part MegoCon, part MicroCon, which is focused on Micronauts, and then part TransCon. It was really small, but there was a lot of good stuff there. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. So is there anything at this show that you guys are looking forward to?
Seeing everyone?
Friends.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing, like, as the show progresses, like, a lot of times the first show you're going to, you're just so, like I don't know, you go in the vendor room and you're, like, just blown away by those. So it's, like, just buying, like, where's the ATM at? Like, I need to get some more money or whatever kind of thing.
I can relate to that.
And going back to Jim's tips on show preparedness, bring your cash from somewhere else. Don't get the cash at the ATM at the show.
Oh.
The ATM at the shows are going to run out of cash. They're going to charge you $4 a transaction. You're not going to have a good time. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, on that note too, me personally, I bank with Fifth Third, and they're partnered with Allpoint. So if you're in a place and if you bank with Fifth Third and there's not a Fifth Third ATM, if you run across an Allpoint ATM, there's no service fees because they're partnered with Fifth Third Bank. So,
I was gonna say the other thing too, like what I've done a lot of times is like with the vendors, a lot of them all have PayPal, and so what I do is I'll go there and say, hey, do you take PayPal, friends and family, and we'll like work out the thing there, so that way I'm like saving my cash, and
Yeah.
you know, and all that. Some of the vendors take credit cards, the bigger ones do, you know, the major stores and whatnot, but a lot of the vendors don't. The artists usually don't either, but a lot of them usually have, you know, Venmo, PayPal, Square, whatever, and you can work something out. But the best, you know, cash is king with any of these kind of shows. So I would, you know, the same ways I would definitely recommend that. The other thing I would say just in general is, especially like if you're new to conventions, is prioritize what you want. Like,
yep.
I mean, I've been guilty of this myself a lot, of just going in there being like, oh my God, I see this, I see this, I see this, and trying to figure out, you know, just wanting to buy everything or just buying more than what you're expecting, whatever. And so I think like actually making a priority list of like what you want, I think helps and goes a long way.
That I can agree with that.
My very first convention was BotCon 2006. Okay. I did not know any of that. Did not plan. Had my money. Walked into the dealer room. That was it. Walked right in the door, and what's right there to the right? Mega Toy Fan, Brett's booth.
Done.
I was there for hours digging through parts boxes. I lost track of time, and I'm still kicking myself because I missed out on getting a Peter Cullen autograph.
That was my
by about
first
45
BotCon.
minutes.
I had the same story. I went there with a minivan that was empty and left with a minivan full of toys. I don't know what got into me. My girlfriend was like, "What happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst part of this one though is that this was BotCon 2006, and that was the year prior to the live action movie. So Peter Cullen hadn't quite become as major as he has now since all the movies have come out. You know, now it's like ridiculously hard to find a show that he's at, or before.
And you're going to pay.
Some of the earlier, yeah, absolutely. Heck, BotCon, what was it, 2015 or something, had Frank Welker at it, and you had to get the $500 package and then the add-on just to meet him, get his autograph and stuff. But I just imagine what it's going to be for Peter Cullen.
Yeah,
Still
that's
kicking
what. I've never seen Peter Cullen at a convention just because I never went to BotCon and TFCon. I mean, I totally understand. It's like you can't. It's hard to book, you know, him and Welker just because of like it's like your option is you can get like 10, you know, G1 voice actors, or you can get Peter Cullen. You know, like just the way that it kind of breaks down, and so. I think for a lot of us, a lot of people that have went to conventions for years and years and years, a lot of you guys would rather see, you know, a guy that you've never met rather than Peter Cullen, because you've seen Peter Cullen a number of, you know, of years or whatever. So
I saw him from across the room, I guess.
I think Cullen actually did go to TFCon Toronto, I think a couple of years ago, maybe. But I don't think he's been to the U.S. TFCons. So I was going to mention for those of you who are, you know, either going there or staying home, a big part of TFCon is the third-party stuff. So one thing is that they have the displays out with a lot of the prototypes that are coming up, and so I think that's a really neat thing that you can kind of see, what's upcoming, and they still may have it in prototype form. A lot of times, like companies like MMC or whatnot may debut some various figures in prototype form as well. Like I think they had a Star Convoy. Was that Star Convoy? I think last
Thunderclash.
Well, Thunderclash is coming out from
Vans
Hobby.
Hobby. Right.
But then
was there a Star Convoy?
I thought MMC was. I think.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Star Convoy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was a Star Convoy there. They showed off the rest of the DJD. Obviously, Nickel was new at that point. I'm sorry, Knee and Foxwire or whatever. Nickel and the Pet. Braun was there. The first two Combaticons were there. It's Vortex and Swindle. Vans Hobby had a few things to show off. That was the Thunderclash, which I'm sure they're going to redeco into Machine Wars Prime, which, whatever, it's too big for my collection. That's like, you don't need a 18-inch tall Thunderclash or whatever he is. 15, 16 inches. It's huge. I don't. I don't.
No one does.
But they also had a Minerva, which looked really nice.
Yeah.
I forget. I think they named her Athena, which is funny to me. But anyway, yeah. So they had a Headmaster Minerva, Gen 1 style, Masterpiece scale. And then there's always the slideshow, which is always telling to show you like where a company is, where they are not anymore. Because there are some products that are shown in the slideshow that have been on the slideshow for 3 and 4 years now. And like Make Toys, they've had at the last 4 shows, I believe, prototypes of their remaining 2 Masterpiece Headmasters, Brainstorm and Highbrow. They're just there, but they don't ever do anything with them. They haven't made any progress as far as anyone can tell. There are projects that have stalled. You can see where companies have completely gone bust and disappeared, like Voodoo Robots, for example. Cold Constructs got a lot of attention last year this time for their Cybertron Scattershot or Galaxy Force backpack figure that they were going to do. And then it was a pre-order situation, and not enough pre-orders came in, so it's still happening. It's just been put way on the back burner, and they said that they're going to try and show more stuff to try and generate some more money for the tooling that they need to get that sort of thing done. There are a number of and then of course the Moss Toys.
Moss Toys. I was going to mention Moss Toys.
I'll let you handle Moss Toys.
Yeah, I don't know. Moss Toys is definitely more than likely gone. I don't know. I mean, we haven't heard anything from them, and I'm not sure that we are.
No.
I don't know. I personally have not heard from Spencer since we did that interview. So yeah, he's kind of ghosted a lot of people on Facebook now. So
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Fans Project is still kind of doing stuff. Fans Toys obviously will have a nice strong showing. Their Jabber figure just came out, and they've got some other things in the pipeline, like the rest of their Stunticons, the rest of their aerial bots that are going to be really nice. So looking forward to seeing some new things from them. Who else off the top of my head? MMC, obviously. Ocular Max is going to have some stuff. X-Transbots will have some stuff. They're going to finish showing off their toy-style Generation 1 Stunticons, as well as the remaining Generation 2 Stunticons. And they've got a couple other things cooking. They've got that Police Deco Skids mold, the Honda City Turbo. So that'll be fun to see. Savant is the name of that mold. I don't remember what the Police Deco's name is, but it comes with a couple of human figures. That'll be fun to see. And then there's always surprises. There's almost always fun surprises in the slideshow and in the physical reveals too. So it'll be interesting.
I'll be curious to see if Planet X shows off some good stuff, because I'm trying to think. I don't think that they've shown anything off past, like, so they have their Deathsaurus. And,
yeah, they got Deathsaurus and
Starsaber,
yep.
And then they have the who was it that they showed another figure off that combines with Starsaber?
It's going to be their Victory Leo, yeah.
Victory Leo.
Yeah. They showed not the actual proto yet. As far as I've seen, it's just the silhouette image. But yeah, Ismenios, and I think that's their Deathsaurus, and Cadmos, those are out. And then there's a an add-on for their Deseros to make them look like Gen 1 as opposed to the IDW version, and that looks brilliant. And then we should see more of the Victory Leo coming out soon, and it will combine with the Star Saber to form Victory Saber and all that good fun stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I would get, if I had to hazard a guess, I would almost think that there's going to be a prototype of the Victory Leo like at the show. And then I don't know, cross our fingers. I mean, we don't know for sure, but potentially.
And you never know
hopefully
for
they
sure
give a silhouette of the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you never know for sure. Like we were talking about earlier, with the supply showing up sometimes the day of the show or the day into the show. Sometimes these slide decks don't get sent to the organizers until the day of, the morning of, a couple hours before the slideshow, and they've got to scramble. And sometimes they ask them to pull slides. Like, don't show that. We're done. We're not. That's not. We're not ready for that. So there's a lot of scrambling.
Do you think we'll see a core star there?
That would be interesting.
I would not expect to see it in the main showroom, but one of the organizers might find themselves with a sample in a hotel room. I don't know. There have been weird things that have happened like that before, where not all the protos or test shots or whatever make it to the floor. They're somewhere else, and you got to go find them.
Well, they've had that. Some of the guys, like again the ages 3 and up, and what is it, Madhouse? They do, like, they've done kind of a thing in a room, messing around with some of the prototypes that aren't necessarily shown, and then they'll put it up on YouTube after the fact, like later. But one thing I was going to say about the third-party panel is that, due to the wonders of technology now, depending on how strong the internet connection is, someone is going to have a live stream of the third-party panel. And so, like, I don't know if it's going to be, if Antoine on Third Party Unlimited is going to have one, or, if TF Talk is going to have one, or somebody else is going to have one. Usually somebody is, at least one person, if not more, is live streaming it. And then a lot of times we put up pictures of the slides. But the slides themselves, a lot of times, like, they release those, like, pretty immediately. But it's always kind of an odd thing that, like, you'll have all these people talking about the third-party panel as you're there now, just because of the technology. But again, it's somewhat dependent on how good the cell connection or Wi-Fi is, on whether or not that can happen. So, but I was going to say, so usually as far as the prototypes, like if you're looking on those, usually MMC will have a booth, and that's usually located. It's the same thing as their exclusives, and the prototypes would be like kind of at the end of where the ages 3 and up, and I'm blanking on the retailer. What's the other retailer?
Not Agabus.
No.
Toy Dojo?
Toy Dojo.
Yeah.
They typically, now again, I don't know this for sure, but the way they've done it in the past is they kind of share a space, and so they'll usually MMC's at the end of that. And then a lot of times, like, there's a separate area for some of the prototypes that they have up that Fans Hobby usually has it in that prototype area. X Transbots usually has in that prototype area, and some of the other ones. But then the way that it's been going with Make Toys is a lot of times Make Toys has been showing their stuff off at the Chosen Prime booth. So usually they have not even participated in the slideshow for like the last year or so. Like last year's TFCon.
The prototypes are
TFCon
just
LA.
in the Chosen Prime cases.
Yeah.
Or one will pop out and pop back into the case later. It's just kind of, they're there.
Yeah. So, and usually they put those out like on Sunday. Usually it just kind of depends, but I don't know. I mean, again, like, it's one of those things where that, Make Toys has kind of shown off a fair amount of stuff that has not been released. And so, like, I know that they had that, the Galaxy Meteor that they showed off. And then I don't think that sold as well as what they're hoping. Well, they had repaints that they were wanting to do of Thundercracker and Skywarp, but those still have yet to be released, even though those were in prototype form. And again, like you said, I'm pretty sure the Headmasters I think we're in prototype form. But yeah, they've really slowed down quite a bit, and then they've kind of put some other projects in front of other ones and whatever. Yeah. And so I know that I think they have one of the cone heads that they just released, and I would venture a guess that that is going to be at the show, like for sale. I don't know for that for sure, but like that's usually kind of the something they've done in the past, like Meteor in the past, or some of these where they'll have like a certain amount of stock that they're releasing, and then that you can buy at the show.
So going to the Meteor and the Conehead discussion, would it be too far out of the realm of reality that we might see a Generation 2 Ramjet in the nice clamshell coming out from Make Toys this weekend?
Oh, God. I almost kind of hope not, because it's I don't need yet another exclusive, but
the clamshell is huge too. It's like this big.
That clamshell
is too big.
For Meteor, yeah. Oh my God, that is just insanely big. So.
But I would love to have a Gen 2 Masterpiece style Ramjet in that, using that Meteor mold in my collection. That would just be brilliant, and I want it. So.
Wouldn't you rather have Sandstorm though?
I would like them both.
Yeah. Yeah, you can never have too many G2 crazy decos, right?
So, moving on from third party, we should probably talk about the guests that are going to be at the show, because we haven't actually name dropped everyone. So I know we've got Sobolov's going to be there. Yeah, Gilvazan's going to be there. Michael McConaughey's going to be there. Donald Glett's going to be there. Donald Glett is one of the writers from the first 2 seasons of the show, and I think he helped with some of the story Bible. And he's had some pretty interesting interviews post Gen 1, so he might be interesting to talk to. He really treats this like a kid show, and thinks that continuity doesn't matter, and screw you kids. It's pretty funny. So he could be a fun person to chat with if given the opportunity. But who else is showing up?
Aaron Archer is going to be there as well, and he actually has a special workshop, I guess.
Yeah. This is the second year. Second year he's done this one, right? I think he did it last year too.
Did he?
Yeah.
For some reason, I think Sunday Aaron afternoon. Archer was there last year. Maybe I'm crazy. I get him confused. Maybe he missed TFCon LA. Like there was one show he was supposed to be there, and he had to back out at the last minute. But I know he's been at other ones. I don't remember him doing this prototyping workshop that's like for.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, I can't remember. It may have done it, and I just don't remember. I know that he's done multiple panels at TFCons before, but his panels are always really good. So I would definitely if you're interested in the toys and you're interested in kind of why Hasbro did what they did when he was there. It's always an interesting talk to kind of go to. So. But I was going to say, Paul Eiding is also going to be there. So Paul and Dan are both doing a panel together, which I think should be super fun, because both of those guys are fantastic guys, and they have some really great stories. So I would highly recommend going to their panel if you haven't seen them before.
Paul Eiding will likely have some Perceptor shirts. Just saying.
So I'm trying to think who else. Rick is going to be doing a panel there, but I think his is actually going to be via Skype.
He's going to be remote. He's not going to be able to physically make it now.
Yeah.
Alex Milne will be there.
Yep. Casey Collier is going to be there as well, and he was showing off for the first time. So a lot of times these artists like Alex and Jack Lawrence have them too, but they have these little sketchbooks that they sell, and they're really, really neat. Kind of books that they put together. They put a lot of love into these. So Casey, for the very first time, is actually going to be offering a sketchbook as well. So I know his is going to be for sale there.
Jack Lawrence is going to be there.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that's Jack's first show on the East Coast. I think he said.
I think so. He was in Toronto. But yeah, I don't know
He
that
was
he's
in
been
Chicago, I think, too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, and then Josh Burcham is going to be there as well. Josh Perez. And Vince DiCola is going to be there. So that should be fun.
Yeah.
So.
And for those who don't know, Vince DiCola did the score for the original 1986 Transformers the movie. He also did the score for Rocky IV.
Yeah, you get your Rocky IV on.
Yep.
Now I'm especially regretting not being able to make it. Because he was at the last BotCon, or rather the concert for the last BotCon. He did not actually have a booth, and I did not get his signature. I got Stan Bush's signature, but not Vince DiCola.
Is Vince supposed to do a performance?
I haven't heard that he is going to, but I could be mistaken.
I was going to say, if I look at the schedule, not sure if he is or not.
Well, I hope he is, because if he is, he's probably going to do the same thing he did at San Diego, which was just crazy. And more people should get to experience it.
You know, it'd be really fun.
There's a Q&A. He's doing a Q&A on Sunday.
Okay.
So I think that may be it. I don't see any other ones on the schedule, but the schedule is always subject to change. So, but someone in the comments too had mentioned about Legends. We kind of skipped over Legends, but I guarantee you that there will be new Legends there to show off. So Iron Factory is always, pretty close with TFCon. Like, they usually are showing that stuff off. So I'm 100% sure that Iron Factory is going to have something to show off. I think New Age showed some stuff off in the third party panel in TFCon LA. So I think I could definitely see them showing something off as well. So you definitely will be able to get Legends. And then also, if you're looking for older Legends that are sold out online, a lot of times you can get those at the show. Like, I've seen them where a couple different, vendors like Chosen Prime or whatever will have like a couple of ones that they don't have for sale online that you can actually get at the show. So
you can get them at the show, and they'll do like buy two get one at such price off. They start wheeling and dealing, and it's pretty good.
So, but yeah, so no, it should be a fun time, and it's a lot of fun. And I think even for those people that can't make it, definitely look towards, like, there'll be definitely plenty of announcements from all the third party stuff. So you can live somewhat vicariously through the rest of us that, are crazy enough to get in a car and drive 16 hours to the show. So are you driving up, Peter, or are you flying?
I'm driving by myself. I've got my first aid kit. I always have a first aid kit in the car, and I keep Flashpoint pretty well maintained, so we'll be okay.
So,
what time are you leaving, Lucas? What time are you starting your trip?
That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're trying to decide if we're going to leave Wednesday night or first thing Thursday morning. But I think what we are going to do is like leave at like 5 or 6 a.m. Thursday morning and just drive straight through and try to get to the hotel Thursday night. It may be Friday morning by the time we get there. So, yeah, should.
If I go, I'm going to probably leave Friday at 5 a.m. and hopefully get there around dinner time.
Yeah.
So I'll be hungry.
Yeah. Hit me up if if you want to go out to dinner or something like that. So I know that there's a Panera Bread in the hotel. I know Antoine had mentioned it before, but there is a Panera Bread there. That was kind of a lifesaver the last time I went to DC, just because it's so convenient. It's right there. And they have a lot of different stuff.
There's a Potbelly. There's a coffee shop. There's a few different things right there.
These options are way too healthy for a TFCon for me.
Well, that is one thing I like about the DC area, about that hotel is that there is a fair amount of stuff that is pretty close there. Whereas I know the ones in Chicago are like, if you have a car, it's not a problem at all. But if you're trying to walk somewhere, like it is somewhat hard to actually, be able to get, some of the meal options. So.
Yeah.
But I guess now is a little bit different because they have all these door dashes and things like that didn't exist a few years ago. So I'm sure like a fair amount of people will be doing that. So, well, I know we've gone for a while here. So I don't know. Do we have anything that we haven't covered for the show, for conventions in general?
Prep, guests, food, rooms, schedules, hydration, toys, reveals, fun, friends, go.
SD cards, just in case, because like if you want to take video or whatever, you might want to run out of room.
Yeah, I would definitely say again,
memory.
like make sure your phone is charged up or your camera's charged up, and that you have memory cleaned off. If you're like my wife, where you keep every video on your phone forever and ever.
Most Androids, you can do micro SD cards. Just throw it out.
Right.
12
if this is your first show, bring twice as much money as you think you need.
Yes, because you might do what I did and find like a Toy Fans booth and never see the sun again.
Yeah.
Or you might run into me.
Yeah. I mean, like that stuff, there's certain things that you're never going to be able to find again, but there's other things that it's going to pop up on another show. So it's like, if it's a G1 figure or something like that, like, yeah, you'll probably be able to pick that up. But if it's some kind of, random Argentinian, tape deck guy, like,
right.
It's, that you may not find that again. So again, just prioritize, what you want with the different stuff and whatnot. So, I was going to mention too, we didn't mention about the card game. So they are going to have some tournaments and stuff on the card game. So if that's something that you want to, if you're interested in, you want to learn how to do it, that's where I was unfortunately introduced to the game, because it's been a big drain on me financially to be able to pick up these cards. But you can go in there and like there's a lot of guys, like they'll have decks built, so that way you can they'll say, here, like we'll show you how to play. So that should be a lot of fun for people as well, and that's again like something fun to do with your kids as well, because the thing, like I'd say, like if you're bringing your kids, like the two biggest things, like at least for me, like my kids are not big on panel, like it depends on the age, I guess. But for younger kids are not as big on the panels, but some of the card game stuff in the vendor room, they should be able to find some stuff that can kind of entertain them if they do that. But
case in point, in Toronto, because I drove from here in Florida up to Toronto with my family to do the show. It was fantastic, great road trip. But they had, like, my son is 11. Well, I mean, he was 10 at the time. No, he was 11. It was post-June. Anyway, he was 11, and then we had our daughter, she's 8, and they had a coloring / scavenger hunt, coloring book type thing, and you had to go around the room and find a rhinoceros transformer and find a transformer that has feathers, and just go around the room and like playing like a scavenger hunt. So the kids had something to do while the parents were off wheeling and dealing and going to panels and doing whatever. And there were, they had prizes. They gave stickers and little temporary tattoos and just little kiddie stuff, like party favors that were Transformer themed. So it all worked, but it gave them something to do for the ones that skew a little bit younger, that don't want to sit in the panels and don't want to watch their parents like, I would like to buy this and I would like to buy that and here's my pile of money or whatever. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say if you do bring your kids, make sure that you're watching them and all that. They're not yoinking something off the table and messing with it and whatever too. A lot of times the bins, usually you can kind of like, they're there and you can do it. But I would just make sure and ask the vendor first, or, make sure that the kids are asking the vendor before they touch anything.
Yes.
Which goes to just an in general statement, along with the bathing, like Jim was saying, manners. Mind your manners.
Absolutely.
Be polite. We're all there to enjoy the show. We're all there for the Transformers and to enjoy our time at the show with each other. Be polite. Don't be a jerk. It's not worth it.
Just tell your kids and your friends, WWOPD. What would Optimus Prime do?
And I got a story from the last BotCon where some kid took a MISB G1 toy off of my table and ran away with it.
Nice.
If I wasn't cutting out so much, I'd go in the whole story. But
Okay, just one yes or no. Is the child still alive?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't do anything to the child.
Did you get it back, or did he?
I got it back, and then the parents were going to buy it for them. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable selling this to you because your kid's going to open this and destroy it. Like, why are you paying $100 for this jump starter? You're dumb.
There's one in a bin right over there for $1.
Right. But I mean, I'm not going to tell them that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, definitely, watch your kids and all that. But it should be a fun family experience, and I would actually suggest for your kids, rather than doing the panel, just because it's not very interactive, is actually standing in line and meeting the guests. They usually have all the voice actors and writers and whatever will have tables there, and you can go up and talk to them. And so I've had so many fun experiences with my kids of them going up, and the voice actors usually will do some voices for them and talk to them and all that. And that's really meant a lot to both my kids and to me, to be able to get that one-on-one experience. And so that's what I would suggest over doing the panels. But again, it depends. Like, Peter, like I'm sure your 11-year-old probably was more into the panels than your 8-year-old.
Oh yeah, definitely. He dug the panels. He liked talking to the vendors and what is this and why just to talk third party stuff. He felt like, because all the kids his age, they don't care about Transformers, and if they do, they know movies and Cyberverse. They don't know Gen 1. They don't care about third party. They don't know about this stuff. So aside from listening to me yammer on all the time, he got to see that there's a larger community out there that he's able to interact with and have fun with. And going back to your point about talking with the guests and stuff, he met James Roberts a couple of years ago. In fact, it was the last Reston show, and he dressed up like Swerve. More Than Meets the Eye style Swerve for Halloween a few years before that, and we had sent that image or the picture of him dressed as Swerve to Roberts via Twitter or something, and then he gave him the picture and they talked, and it was really, really a fun experience for everyone involved. Yeah, so good mannered kids have a great time at the show.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it's a great experience to be able to, interact with everyone. We spend so much time just kind of interacting online with people that through social media, but to actually be able to be in a room together, I think is, just a really fun experience, and something that, more and more I feel like that we don't really get that opportunity.
Yeah, I find it kind of crazy that at this point I've still never met you, Lucas.
No, we met at TFCon last year. You probably didn't remember.
It probably was, yeah. Sorry.
Because
He might not have been sober.
That was the very first time, I think. It was like one of those things where Duran was like, hey, so we went ahead and, I asked Paul to be on the show. And I think that it was very brief.
Yeah. That was a party show for sure. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody if I go in a more conventional sense.
Right. But yeah, it's so crazy, and you end up seeing so many people that I did that too. I felt so bad that I hung out with Christian at the show last year, and then I totally spaced. I think I was like, oh yeah, you weren't at the show, and he's like, what are you talking about? We were in a room together. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, they bleed together, it's hard to
that's right, exactly.
keep it all separated.
Right. it's kind of one of those things. There's like a few people like that, like Will Kinney and whatever. It's like that where he's at every show that I remember at least. And so that it's like, I don't think I could actually recall like, oh, we talked about this at this show and this at this show and whatever. It's just a lot of those various people that you see at conventions and you see them every year. I'm sure like as you kind of going along, you're like, oh, were we discussing this at TFCon, 2016 or 2018 or, what? So, but anyway. All right. Well, Paul, do you have any final thoughts before we end the show here?
No, I think, if you can't go, just keep your eyes on the internet. Keep your eyes on us. We'll be doing something, talking about it. And if you're driving there, listen to the TF Talk feed the whole way through. There's definitely 16 hours worth of stuff to listen to there.
So, yeah, no, the TF Talk Weekly is a great show to download off of our podcast feed there. So,
yeah. Yep.
But those shows are a little more condensed. They're not quite as crazy as all. If you want a lot of hours of content, then listen to our other shows. But we will try to do something live from the show. I don't know. I don't think we're going to do the normal Sunday show at noon, just because I know that at least some of us will be in that Aaron Archer workshop at that time. But we'll try to see what we can do. It all kind of depends on what we can get set up and all that type of thing. So, but yeah, so we may or may not have a show, just kind of depending on who's there and what we can do and all that type of thing. But we're going to try and do what we can, and also look to the tftalk.net Facebook page, because we're going to be posting plenty on there. And then also look at Third Party Unlimited with Antoine as well. Like he does a fantastic job of staying up on top of the news and all that type of thing too. So, but yeah, thanks to Antoine. He's kind of been helping us out with the tftalk.net with the rest of us. He's done a fantastic job of keeping that feed updated as well, both official and unofficial. So, and then this week, check out our other shows. So we are going to have an Ouch My Wallet this week on Wednesday night. We're also going to have the regular microcasters 10 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday night. Paul, are we going to have this TF Talk Weekly? Is that going to be out this week as well, or? That's
let's hope. Yeah. I haven't recorded anything for it, so we'll see what Monday brings.
Put you on the spot here. So just depending on, I know a lot of us, we're going to be out driving to the show and doing all that type of thing. So we may not necessarily have, like, I'm not sure if Cut the Tape will be up this week or not. We'll see. But we do have Rick. If you want to see Rick trying to complete a model kit for the first time, we had that from last week. So that was a lot of fun. Those IDW, the Flame Toys model kits. So I was going to mention those are going to be at the show as well. And so that's a really good opportunity if you've been thinking about getting any of those kits or the high-end figures too. Like you can typically check those out at TFCon. That's a lot of fun. So, and then finally, if you like us and what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/TFYLP. So you can support us from as little as $1 all the way on up. So we are actually doing an after hours that we're going to be putting up this week, finally. So I know it's been a while for that show, but that'll be up. And then also for some of our higher tier backers, we're doing t-shirts. So we should have the t-shirts ready for TFCon as well. So I'm very excited about that as well. So I think that's it. Anything I forgot?
It sounded like everything.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate everyone for joining us this week. And we'll see you at the show next week.
See you guys.
Later.